Factor with Glenys. I'm your host, Glenys Gassman, and today's guest, I've got Bruce, the guy in the blue shirt. Bruce actually is a process improvement wizard, and he coaches people and organizations to work on the right stuff, saving them steps and time and money, reducing frustrations, and working on their processes. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that in the show. But firstly, Bruce, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's extraordinarily interesting to get with a like-minded person about processes. And we were just chit-chatting offline about the importance of, being your own product, right? And being your own process. Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
The whole back end of my processes is my background's accounting. So, like processes, 1 and 1 equals 2,
Right.
However, adding a little bit of flair to that and growing businesses is really where my passion is. But it's not about me today; it's about you. So let's have a chat about. I like to start the show off by asking you just something what you're currently working on and what you're really excited about for 2022.
Oh, great question. So I just finished throwing my vision board together. So I'm a visual kinesthetic learner, so like a lot of adults. So and I'm pretty empathetic as well. And so what I have been working on, and I'm lucky enough to be a host of a lot of LinkedIn live shows, is improving my listening skills, because sometimes I get a little bit fast, my simpler, faster, better method. Sometimes I get a little bit faster instead of getting better. So I've been working on my active listening skills. And what that's allowed me to do is it started to help me get even more focused on, where do I want to spend my time? How do I want to spend my time? And as a result, my goal list, or my goal and wish list, has become extremely niched and extremely focused. So one example of that was, earlier this year, I'd say, well, I'd like to travel more. Well, next year, I know where I'm going to travel and approximately when, and I know the reason why I want to travel. And so we were chatting offline, one of the trips will be to come to Australia. And the reason I want to come to Australia is actually meet in person all the fabulous connections I've met, either through LinkedIn or interviews or live shows or Zooms. And I just want to pull all that together to make it simpler, faster, better. I that's the core of who I am. I'm a
that sounds really exciting. And I love the fact that you've done your vision board. I'm a visual person too, and I actually haven't done mine yet, Bruce. You're one step ahead of me. I tend to do that between now and the new year. And I've got my vision board together, and I've got lots of magazines and things like that all ready for me to collage and get out and do that. But, when you're talking about active listening, it's so important for us as coaches to be the listener, because, they do say, and it's, this funny saying out there, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? And and when we do listen, for, all the listeners out there and the business coaches out there, when we actually do employ and take on active listening, we actually hear behind the words that are being said. Right. And that's when you get to the magic and the good stuff. That's when you get the impact of what's actually happening for those people you're talking to, the emotional impact. And that's where you can make the biggest difference with people, So I love what you're doing there. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2022 over here on the Gold Coast. I've actually got a plan to get over to America as well. I've been going to America since 2015, every year speaking, and I haven't done that since 2020. So this is my second year of not being there, and I miss it. So, and I've got a string of people all the way through to actually, to talk to. So, I'm very much just looking forward to that. So
come come to Phoenix. I'm actually in a metro city of Phoenix. Actually, I'm 8-minute Uber ride to the airport from where I am. And yet it's a mixture of old and new. It's a very eclectic city. And again, driven by the expansion of Arizona State University. ASU's expanding all over the place here. And it's bringing a lot of energy and a lot of high potential leaders, which we both have that in common, which is, we like to work with not only high potential people and high potential leaders, but ultimately putting together high performing teams is, it's such a rush. When you see, you see all the component parts, all the different people, and you can pull them together and get them off rowing it all in the same direction. It's amazing what they can achieve. So
absolutely. I was actually just talking to a client this morning who we're focusing on that for next year, but we started off last year with this 2 weeks ago. I did a teamwork workshop for him, and since then the cohesiveness in the team, and he goes, I'm so looking forward to next year, because I said to him, look, we'll double your income through this, and I know this is a passion of yours, Bruce, because you're an ex-IndyCar Formula One driver, and this is your passion. And you and I both know that those cars don't finish the race unless they've got really high-performing teams and processes in place. And I suppose this is where your passion came from, building into the business side of things and saving people money, time, frustrations. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that occurred for you and what happened? Yeah.
So the how was, I went to a company function, and I teamed up with a high potential leader. I didn't know that that's what he was at the time, but he had all the characteristics, and we went go-karting, and it became, it became pretty competitive. And of course, he was significantly younger than me, and he would always win. So I would say, okay, well, and then I started to practice and break things down a little bit, use my process thinking a little bit. And then the last time we went and did go-karting, I won. He said, how did you do that? And it was just those little incremental differences, little incremental changes that made a big impact. And then fast forward a couple of years, we live near a road racing circuit. So he bought me a Formula First Day for a birthday gift, and we both went. And then we did all that for a little bit. And then when I moved to the USA, I used to work for a company that was closely aligned with all the travel that the teams were using, or the type of travel company. And I basically went to Road America, which is an IndyCar racing circuit. And I saw that the Skip Barber Racing School, who were a sponsor for that, they were offering graduate training programs. So I signed up.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was really interesting because I blew a lot of money in a hurry, but it was the best experience in my life because, when you rub shoulders, it's very different when you see it as a spectator, but when you actually get to, I spent days and days with these pro drivers and pro teams and pro mechanics and facilities. When you see it all come together, you're talking about the competitive edge is tenths of seconds. It is so crazy that the incremental difference is that small. And that's where the competitive edge comes from. But having said all that, what I realized is that you can take, I used to try and help big burly mechanical guys in aircraft assembly to make their changeovers from one type of production to another quicker. And that's called fast changeover. And I could never get them to get the concept. So what I happenstanced upon was I was able to get hold of some pit stop videos legally and everything, and I had the rights to replay them. So what I did is I wove that into the quick changeover classes that I was showing. And as soon as I showed them in slow motion, the difference between the winning team and the non-winning team, it was like all the lights came on for them,
like
and
a blinding flash of the obvious. Yeah.
and it was amazing because those guys literally went back out in the shop, and within less than a month they revolutionized the way that they would change over tooling and change over fixturing, and yeah, they made some massive improvements, and everyone said to me, how the heck did you do that? Well, like, how did you motivate these guys? And that's what I did.
Knew it. They saw it. They knew it. They just needed to, like you said at the very beginning, there's a lot of people that are visual learners. And and I think, when they see it and they see how the difference is, like you said, milliseconds. And it's the same with the Olympics, and it's the same. I'll just turn this back to business coaching as well, because like it is the tweaks. Like we all know how to run a business, it's inputs in and it's outputs out. But it's what we do in the middle. And I'm very passionate about focusing on what you really need to focus on, because we've got millions of things that distract us every day. Like, let's face it, But who's got that discipline to go, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it, because we just need to focus on what we have to do to achieve the result,
Right.
I for a long time, Bruce, didn't accept the fact that I was a results queen, right? And it wasn't until I did about 10 years ago, I go, you know what? I'm just going to own this. Like literally, that's who I am. And I do manifest results through processes as well as what you do. But it is that nth degree. It's that tiny tweak that you can put in place. And so, like you said, within an hour, was it? Or within a week, they changed around. Yeah. Within a month, they got different results. That can be no different in any business. It doesn't have to be hard work. It can be quite easy and fun,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, my tip of the interview, as it were, or tip of the day from over here in Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah, tip of the day.
My fast tip, as I like to call them, what people don't realize is to get a different productive output, you have to change a different productive input. So in all this flashy stuff, clutter, a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, people miss that fundamental fact. So, and as an accounting person, you're going to understand, you get the linearity of that. But again, unless once you understand, well, what's the productive output I want, either from my customer or from my team or both, once you define that, you then go backwards to, okay, well, where are all the productive inputs coming from? And, can I eliminate any? Can I actually redesign them? Can I reduce the amount of time it's taking to gather data for the productive? So that's where the magic happens. The process is the process, but productive output, if you want a different productive output, you got to go nail the critical productive inputs.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally get that. And I have a saying that if you want to change your life, you got to change some part of your daily routine.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah. And it can be little micro steps. It's fascinating to me how, because what happens is if you got, say, a team of 30 or 40 people, if each of them change that micro step and save a minute each, that's 40 minutes on the outcome side, right? And then you multiply that by 5. Yeah, you multiply that by 5 days, and now you got 200 minutes. Yeah. So people don't, and that's one of the little fast tips I get people to do when they don't believe in what could happen. I'll say to them, okay, your challenge, you need to come in tomorrow and come back with an idea that's going to save $1 a day.
Yeah, I love it.
Or a minute a day.
Or a minute a day. I say, 1% improvement a day.
Right.
At the end of the year, we're 365% ahead of where we were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, 30 something times better than we were if you do 1% incremental changes per day.
Yeah, well, now that we know where your passion came from and what you're doing and all of that, what are some signs in the business community? Because you work with businesses, coaching people and organizations. I presume that's small businesses as well, small to medium businesses. What are some of the signs that you see in business that that you would say would need a tune up, in this process improvement, that maybe some listeners out there, they're listening to this and go, well, what are those signs? Can you tell them, ask them, and maybe they would, might be able to do something about that. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yep. So one telltale sign is, are you on time or are you late? So being on time, and it may not ideally always on time to the customer, but it might just be on time to, your teammate upstream from you or downstream from you. So,
Yeah.
So are you on time? Yes or no? If you're not on time, why not? Then the other thing is, go walk the process. Is there too much stuff? And the stuff could be paperwork. It could be parts. It could be. So, and then when you identify too much stuff, you say, well, how long are you waiting? So if you're waiting and you're pausing, so anything that's not moving in the business, whether it be information or product or servicing each other in the business, that's the acronym. If you're waiting, stuff's not moving. Anytime something stops, that's an opportunity for improvement to make it flow a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, and then, there's lots of subcategories of that, but everything I've ever done in 27 different industries in 5 different countries, it always comes down to the waste is going to be in the steps, the time, and the money or other resources.
Very
all
good
the waste, all the waste always fits into one of those 3 or 4 buckets.
Yeah.
So go analyze where the waste is. Go watch where the waste is.
Yeah, where's the waste going? And then you'll be able to put in steps in place, And
right.
when you do put in place the steps to, minimize that waste, I know you saw a business in a month turn this around, but, I would imagine that business would have a lot of frustration. There would be, there'd be frustration. There'd be a little bit toxic, maybe that they wouldn't be performing. There could be loss of profits. Tell us a little bit more about that side of things. Yeah.
Actually, that's exactly where I was going to go. So thank you. You're in tune. I was going to say the other big one is listen, observe, and identify where the frustrations are coming from. I mean, the worst frustration is obviously from your customer or your supplier, because the customer is obviously your output end, your supplier is your input end of the whole thing. But if you've got frustrations in the customer arena and the supplier arena, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that creates almost like hyperactivity internally, because then people within the departments or within the flow of whatever you're doing, whether it's paperwork or product or service, they get frustrated as well. So applying the active listening, really listening to getting feedback from your customer. So, if you don't know what your customer thinks about you, you need to ask. Don't be afraid. But a lot of people are afraid to ask sometimes because they say, oh, we don't, we're not quite sure. But if you don't hear it, then the customer will walk away and find somewhere else that's willing to listen to them.
And most customers are very generous with their conversation. And I say this to business owners all the time, you would be very surprised to hear what they actually do have to say, and in ways that would empower you. And they're not going to, even if you have done a few things that haven't quite been up to speed, they're not going to, most people just aren't nasty. That's just not the way of a human being. So they're going to empower you, and they'll feel important. They feel like worthy of being your customer. And from your point of view, from a business owner's point of view, that's the best way to grow your business, is to listen to your customers. Like, you don't have to go pay a research company. Just go talk to your customers and find out. Start with your A-class ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Go walk the talk. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't realize that for them to pick up and move, that's a really big change for them as well. I mean, that's all non-value added activity. If a customer does decide to walk away, and it happens probably more times than it should because of that, not going on a walkthrough with them. And then the other thing I would say is, if your customer really doesn't know what they, they think about you, go visit them. The power, I know in pandemic days it's been difficult, but the power of just doing a casual walkthrough, just go chit chat to the people at your customer, go see what they think, go see what they
have
feel.
Have a coffee with them when they're in town next or something like that. It's just building that relationship, because what I know is, having an accounting firm, that's exactly what we did to build the accounting firm. We talked, we listened. What else would you like? What else can we help you with? How are we going so far? That sort of thing. And and when you go and visit them, you don't even have to take cake or coffee, but just go visit them. And they're so thrilled, because they're so proud of their business. They want to show you around. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ask them what's going well for them, and you'll be amazed what they want to show you. They'll want to show off their accomplishments, and then, ask them, well, how did you do that? And that's the other thing, like, how did you do it? What are you proud of? And then my last thing there would be, and it's back really to using not only active listening, but intuition, asking that tough question, which is, in an ideal world, what is it you want from us, or what solution to a problem do you want from us that you might not have already?
Yeah, great question. That's a great question, Bruce. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough
Be
one.
careful.
But, as a coach and a consultant into business, that's what they're looking for. They don't, that's why they need a coach, because they want someone who can be straight with them and direct with them, and actually do ask those tough questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that after doing the walkthroughs, I got to a point where I would have, 12 or 15 really solid questions. It didn't matter what type of business or what type of activity they were doing. Because again, people get confused with how alike businesses are. What I found is the niching or specialty within a business is only about 8%. The rest of it is more alike than they are disalike, even though they think they're super special. They are super special in their eyes, but there is still a lot of repetitiveness that you can learn from. So
absolutely. So it's not the 80-20 rule for Bruce, it's the 92-8 rule.
92-8 for absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. So tell me about
the concept's still the same.
Anyway, the concept is the same. Tell me, have you got a really super story you can tell us about how you've helped someone?
My most recent one was actually an individual that she was finishing her doctorate program, and at a Ivy League university, and due to the pandemic and the changes they had to make, they brought forward the final dissertation date by 5 weeks. Now, that may not seem a lot, but that was 5 weeks in like a 10 or 12 week segment.
That's pretty, yeah.
It was very aggressive. So she heard about some of the things I was doing, and we basically did a rapid, what I call sprint activity. So it was rapid. It wasn't a full blown get the textbook out and go from page 1 to page 8. It wasn't. It was rapid, fast fire. And what was interesting is we worked on what she could eliminate, reduce, get rid of, made it simpler, faster, better, everything that she was doing. And she was the only person in the cohort to meet the new deadline date.
Wonderful. Isn't that amazing when you target? Like what I hear from you is like, it wasn't a textbook thing. It was targeting specific things to get that high level. And you had that aggressive result, I think we were talking offline about the body transformation that I've gone through over the last 5 months, and through hiring a high performance food scientist coach, and targeting specifically for me, because we all know how to lose weight, right?
Yeah.
We eat less and we exercise more, right? But that's so general and so broad.
Right.
Yeah. But when you're really targeting specifically what is right for you, and then you can just follow that. You don't have to have all of these options and choices that, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? You're just simply following it. And then 5 months later, 22 kilos done. Like, it's amazing. Amazing. Even I'm saying it's amazing, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, for her, it was, how do I recover or get rid of 5 weeks of my normal activity that, she was pretty proficient in, but it was back to that really niching down and having somebody that could ask her the tough questions. And there were some times where I could tell, she didn't react well. Like, you mean I've got to stop doing this, or I got to give up that, or I have to reduce this, or I can't do this anymore. It's like, well, do you want to hit the date or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I love it. And you're proficient on LinkedIn Live and TikTok. Tell me a bit about TikTok and business. I don't know how that works. Tell me how that works, Bruce.
Well, I'm on the TikTok thing. I'm a newbie. It was sort of a challenge, but I thought, you know what? There's something here that I don't understand. So it's been a personal challenge. It's going to be in 2022 my biggest personal growth area because I still haven't fathomed it out. But what I did do is I used 3 different people for 3 different aspects that are good at it. So Mayan Gordon, who's based on the Pacific Northwest coast, who's actually in van life right now. She's going around the USA with her husband, recognizing small businesses, but she was really, really good at getting followers. Gillian Mulholland, who's over there in Australia, I can't remember, just outside of Victoria. So she's recently moved due to the pandemic, but
well, she come to Queensland like everyone else is.
I can't remember where I should know that. Anyway, Gillian was really good at being somewhat creative with the type of content. And then Shri, who is good at talking to the camera, helped me understand how to actually go live for the first time once I got enough followers. So I can live stream on TikTok. I still don't know what I'm doing, but every time I do it, I'm getting better. And to date, my most successful video clip, I just looked actually last night, not on purpose, but it's gotten 150,000 views, which I was
That's awesome.
I know it's TikTok reach. Yeah. On the LinkedIn Live last Friday, I just finished my 133rd episode since I've been doing it, which covers multiple contents, multiple types of businesses, people, genres, backgrounds, and that's about 160-ish people, because sometimes they're not individuals. They've been business partners, married couples, brother, and there's been a lot of variations on the amount of different guests I've had at any one time. So,
and you're doing one a day. How long? Because LinkedIn Live hasn't been going that long. So,
right. Well, actually, I do 2 a week, so that gives you Tuesdays and Fridays. But I could do it every day, but it's a lot of behind the scenes work that maybe people don't get to see.
Yeah.
But I have a simpler, faster, better process for it. So
I love it. Simpler, faster, better. It's almost like, I don't know if you ever heard of, as a group here that came out of Logan in Queensland called Savage Garden. And they had a song called Truly, Madly, Deeply. And now you're saying, was it faster, better? Tell me
Simpler,
again.
faster, better. Yeah.
Simpler, faster, better. Love it. Simpler, faster, better. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a ring to it. It's kind of like that song, right?
That is. It's a bit like that song. Maybe you could have a jingle or something out there.
Yeah. And then to full circle your question, you asked me, what I'm looking forward to. Little fun story is I actually have a blue shirt sponsorship now. So I'm partnered with a, apparel and branded products company. So so when they arrive, I will be adorning the Simpler, Faster, Better blue shirts.
Fantastic. I love it. That's awesome. You are a product of what you do and what you help others do, which is the perfect position for any business owner. Absolutely. Yeah. So final question of the day, Bruce. So this is all about the G factor. So the G factor is a unique set of skills, experiences, and disciplines that have given you the edge. They give you the edge in business and to be successful. So when you look back at everything that you've done to where you've got to now, from all of our listeners listening in, what's the one skill or discipline that you believe to be the most important to your success? So what's your G factor?
Strategy/strategic thinking. So having very clear, very well-defined strategy, and then using the thinking steps behind that strategy, and then the persistence to keep going after it. So
to keep it going.
Strategy and grit, I would say, but grit is just a tool, really. It all starts with a strategy.
Strategy. Let's go with strategy. Your G factor is strategy, Bruce. Awesome.
Yep.
So look, you've shared with us a lot today. You've given us some tips of the day and everything and what you're heading into. You've inspired me to get onto TikTok. I'm going to have a look at what you're doing now. What's the best way to reach out to you for anyone listening here?
I'm easy to find on LinkedIn because I think I'm the only hashtag the guy in the blue shirt or hashtag process cleanup. So that's ultimately what I end up doing for people. On TikTok, I'm at Simpler, Faster, Better. That's my handle out there.
Love it. Yeah.
And I love to get direct messages on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, which is processcleanup.com. And the first little button that you see is book a chit chat with Brucey. So people can do it that way. And
book a chit chat with Brucey and find out about how you can become simply faster, better, and tweak your business to a whole new level, as well as your team. Well,
right.
Bruce, I appreciate you being on the G Factor today. It's been a great time chatting with you, and I do hope to see you here in Australia, and I'll be over there to Phoenix, Arizona as well, and we definitely will catch up and we'll check each other out on TikTok.
All right. Yeah. So just another little tip for you on TikTok. You can niche down. So I'm in the business tips and tricks category.
Okay.
So you can kind of choose the category that you want your stuff to show up in.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great. Well, you have a sensational rest of the day, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Super. Spectacular. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
All right.
Bye-bye.